So it's finally out, and our never-ending quest that ended almost 2 years ago has renewed purpose now. Our road to Baldur's Gate 3, which took us through Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, Baldur's Gate 2, Throne of Bhaal, Icewind Dale, Heart of Winter, Icewind Dale 2, Neverwinter Nights 2, Mask of the Betrayer, Storm of Zehir, and Divinity Original Sin 2, ended at the gates of this massive behemoth of a game, and after 2 long years of waiting, it is time to enter. And just like we've taken our same little party of adventurers in Solasta through every campaign because we grew to love each of them over the course of the adventure, we're going to create our little party of adventurers for Baldur's Gate 3, choosing from those in our select audience who have accompanied us for more than 2 years. And then we're going to embark upon the journey through this post-5th edition version of the Forgotten Realms. But before we choose our characters, bear in mind that it's easy for those who aren't good at jumping in this game to find themselves stranded in the remote corners of the world, miles away from the rest of the party. And I wouldn't want that to happen to you. So I am going to do my best to make sure that you have the best mobile wireless service in the market. And that is why I'd like to introduce you to Mint Mobile, who I am partnering with for this video. So if you live in the United States, Ryan and I have a triple-decker of good news for you, but I'll let him do the talking for a bit.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. They put their names on arenas, we put ours on my lower back. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. And if this were one of their ads, they'd end it here with a happy customer. So we'll end ours with an angry goat. Look at the angry goat.
So the first good news is that Mint Mobile is built on the nation's largest 5G network. Their plans include nationwide talk and text, super fast 5G, and free mobile hotspot. And the second good news is that for a limited time only, all plans, including the unlimited plan, are only $15 a month. That means that you'll be getting 50% off the unlimited plan. And of course, I saved the best for last. Telling by the conversations we've been having over on our Discord chat, some of you are going to find this particularly interesting, I think. The third good news is that you do not have to wear a ball and a chain for 2 years or even a year with Mint Mobile. Once the 3 initial months are up, you can renew with a 3, 6, or 12-month plan to keep the savings going. And hey, I know these guys think that an angry goat is a more credible figure than a happy customer, but I'm old-fashioned like that, so here's what subscriber J. Brandon Mercer 123 had to say about Mint Mobile here on the channel. I have Mint Mobile. I've been using it for over a year. Good service. So go to our partner's website mintmobile.com/YOL to get premium wireless service for as low as $15 a month. Make the switch now and start saving money without sacrificing quality. It doesn't matter if you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, or the Sword Coast. Always stay in touch with your party members. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get this party started, shall we? Let's see which of you are going to be chosen for this adventure. I've used code names, of course, in the interest of protecting your identities, which is the most important thing these days, it seems. Let's start with D&D Freak. D&D Freak is an old-timer. He's been around forever, it seems, and he was passionate about D&D even before he discovered the Wizardry games, titles like Ravenloft and Pools of Radiance, and of course all those Infinity Engine CRPGs that came around the late 90s and early 2000s. D&D Freak cares about one thing and one thing only, and it's about how well the rules of his beloved tabletop game carry over to video games. The more faithful a game is to the tabletop experience, the more he's going to like it. But he's a bit of an okayer in the D&D community. He likes all rule sets, advanced 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th, he makes no distinction. His war cry is, "These rule sets are all good, they are just different." And although he comes from a tabletop background, he's also fond of computer games, and he has been playing them regularly for decades, so of course he's going to be on board for this adventure. He's a nice chap, I like him. He's a human druid, he's into balance and shit, and his alignment is lawful neutral. Then we have Nitty Enginus. He's not all that much into tabletops, but he's a huge fan of the Infinity Engine-based games that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s. This man is the embodiment of "in the good old days." He believes that Baldur's Gate 2 was the last great game that ever came out. These games could simply do no wrong in Needy's eyes. Despite this, he continues to play games and he compares every CRPG that he gets his hands on to his beloved classics. His war cry is, "This is a poor man's Baldur's Gate." And because this adventure has the Baldur's Gate name stamped on it, he's on board for this adventure, but he's low-key excited about it. I, for one, am looking forward to his company. He is a dwarf cleric, his alignment is neutral good, and he worships the gods Black Hylas and Bioeras, at least before this god turned evil after the event known as the Aeus Cataclysm. Then we have Okay with All. This is the kind of guy that I can't stand. If a game is an isometric CRPG and it's at least playable, then he's okay with it. He's been around forever, he's played every game that has ever come out, and he's always in awe of everything. This guy's mission in life is to refute every negative thing that's ever said about a game. But he is in our party, I guess, and I can't wait to send him on a lengthy solo side mission and not see him again for days. And of course he's going to tag along for the adventure because he just has to play everything. His war cry is, actually, it's not that bad. He's an elf wizard because what else would he be? And he is polytheistic. And although he doesn't seem like it, his alignment is evil. Make no mistake about it, evil neutral. You know you are this guy if you are reading this and thinking something like, actually his alignment is more like... Then we have Shalowina. Shal doesn't care too much about combat or rule sets. She's in for the dialogue, the story, the interactions between the main characters and the NPCs, and most especially the romance. But although she's very much into story and lore, she's also a bit of an okayer. She enjoys the story in Planescape Torment every bit as much as the one in Solasta Crown of the Magister. She also tends to talk to other RPG fans as though she were a character in a game. She's fond of those Minsk one-liners and Mort suburban style and expressions. She's the kind of person who finds it perfectly believable that someone who spends months out in the open barely making it through every day and surviving deadly encounters with evil monsters has perfect makeup, fashion-forward attires, and the hottest hairstyle in the modern world. Her war cry is, "No one's faster than Chiquitita Fastpaw." She's in for the ride because she simply can't resist a story-based medieval fantasy RPG. She's okay, I guess, just a little bit annoying and cringy from time to time. She's a half-elf sorcerer who worships, I don't know, Sune? Is that the goddess of beauty? I don't know. Her alignment is neutral good. Then we have Corelius Salotus. Nice chap, this one. I have nothing but respect for this dude. Corelius has a very strong idea of what he likes, and therefore he knows exactly what he wants to see in his games. The problem is that this idea is rather narrow, strict, and it drills down to insanely specific details. This is the guy who finds completely unacceptable those renditions of Superman that don't have the little hair curl in the front. If he knew the direction the character has taken in recent years, he'd suffer multiple cardiovascular accidents, I tell you. He despises any changes in an IP that are inconsistent with the intellectual property's story, lore, tone, or its character's side profiles. So any efforts to make an IP likable for those other than its core audience at the expense of those things that are liked by the core audience will be met with serious resistance from this guy. This guy became the embodiment of the Godfather meme after the massive changes that 5th edition brought to D&D lore.
Look how they massacred my boy.
His war cry is, "I do not support the
reimagining."
He is probably not going to join us for the ride, and I have to admit I have mad respect for this dude if he doesn't. But if he does join, expect him to be a very angry dwarf all the way. And yes, he's dwarf by the way, a dwarf paladin who is very much lawful good. And last but not least, there is Noobsta McNoobsta. Noobsta was never too much into D&D or tabletop games even. She's a computer game person and she learned of RPGs with Pillars of Eternity, and she fell in love instantaneously with the genre because she was always about player agency and choice and consequence, but she didn't know that when you are that kind of gamer, then RPGs is the way to go. And she's fascinated with the Pillars of Eternities, the Pathfinders, and the Divinity Original Sins. Her favorite game of the lot is Divinity Original Sin 2. And of course, because of that, she's more than eager to join the adventure. but she hasn't played the original Baldur's Gate games.
You see, that's gonna be a problem.
Yep, that means she's probably going to get annoying from time to time, but otherwise, I find her newfound enthusiasm to be refreshing, and I am looking forward to what she has to say. I just hope she doesn't then go back to the classics to see what the fuzz was about, only to then make a vis-a-vis comparison and come to the conclusion that the new one is better, thus completely overlooking that the better, newer one is 80% the same old game in a modern suit. Noobsta doesn't have a war cry yet, and I think that's very cute. She's a halfling thief, and she is neutral good. And what is a party of adventurers without the occasional NPC that joins in for a little while to make the trip a little easier? In our game, that's going to be Alex, the dwarf fighter who never multi-classes. Alex is the kind of guy who has been around since the late 70s. He was there when the genre was taking its first steps in the digital interactive world with games like Wizardry and Ultima. He was there when Chrono Trigger, Breath of Fire, and Final Fantasy were ahead of the game by several miles. He accidentally got his hands on some D&D series like Ravenloft and Kryn, and although he didn't understand half of its mechanics, he liked them all the same. And he was there to witness how Infinity Engine-based games and Fallout changed the RPG world forever. He was thoroughly impressed by those D&D titles by Black Isle and pre-EA BioWare. He certainly thinks there's a lot in those games that we don't get to see anymore nowadays, but he doesn't think quality gaming ended with those titles. He's a little bit like Shalloween in the sense that he thinks a good story is almost mandatory for a good RPG. The main difference being that he can tell a good story from a bad one. And he tends to look favorably upon games that focus on storytelling, even when it is at the expense of choice and consequence and complex game mechanics. And that's why Dragon Age Origins and the Witcher series are amongst his favorite games ever. And while he was not as impressed as Noobsta McNoobsta with new titles like Pillars of Eternity or Divinity Original Sin, he considers them to be excellent games, and he is forever grateful that they reignited the flame of the isometric RPG subgenre. But remember, he's just a warrior who doesn't multi-class. He can't tell the difference between a good D&D implementation of the rules and a bad one, because he knows jack shit about D&D rule sets, and he's only been to one tabletop session ever, and he hated it. So don't expect deep knowledge of D&D gaming rules from him. He's a normie. He's been around forever and he knows what he likes, but he's still as casual as they come when it comes to D&D. Then there are some people who weren't invited to our little party. They just have incompatible ideas and pronouns in their bios. Like the evil elf wizard Modernus Twitterson, also known as Modernus from the Avernus. And to be fair, Larian went to great lengths to make the game likable for these people. I'm sure they did so in part out of their own volition because they don't want anyone to feel left out, but I am sure they also did it in part because their partner in crime, Wizards of the Coast, whose big daddy is Hasbro, whose big daddies are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, demanded it be so. And that's why I understand if some of you give this one a pass. But you know what? Larian has also gone to great lengths to make the game appealing to us, to all of us. This is a game for everyone. In fact, I think they've taken almost every awesome thing that every RPG has ever introduced before. They've added a little something extra to the mix out of their own bag of tricks, and they've blended it together into a thoroughly enjoyable whole. It's not perfect, of course, it has its issues, and some of them are pretty serious, but this is already a candidate for Game of the Decade. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it, some people are going to sit somewhere in between. I'm getting ready to tell you about what I think, but in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you feel like you were left out of our party of 6, I'd love to hear your story in the comment section down below or over on Discord. In the meantime, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, thank you for watching all the way up until now. If you like what you are seeing on this channel, please consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell to avoid the usual YouTube shenanigans. Share the video, come check us out on Discord, but most importantly, never stop gaming, but don't let gaming get in the way of your hopes and dreams. Bye everyone.